Hey, y'all, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Natives. We have a really good episode for you. Christian and I are talking about three big things happening, and especially whenever we met Ramit, we're talking about that a little bit, but we're also talking about his book, how it's impacted us. There's three things that we're going to cover in this podcast, and that is what is automation and how it can help you and your business grow. We're talking about hiring employees and giving freedom, and we're talking about systems and how you should have them in place and what types of systems you should have to help your business grow. Enjoy.
This is the Marketing Natives, providing actionable ways to grow, improve, and succeed in your business. And now, your hosts, Christian and Aaron.
So how did you not meet Ramit, but how did you get introduced to Ramit and his books?
Happenstance. I don't know if I told you that or not, but I was actually in Dallas over there at Firewheel, and I was with Brianna one time before the my flight left. Went to a Barnes and Noble, and it was just browsing around personal finance and like business books and entrepreneurship, and like his book's called "I Will Teach You to Be Rich," and I was like, oh yeah, I want.
Very catchy title,
right?
Yeah.
And then you go through it, and I was like, okay, this is just some kind of get rich quick scheme kind of crap, basically. And I went through there and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. I think the book was like $10, so I bought it, and then I read like half of it on the plane. And then I was kind of like, I don't know, hooked at that point. I think I subscribed to his email list or whatever else, but I just started reading the book. I don't know.
Did you introduce me to him?
Yeah, I think I told you like, hey, buy his book. It's really good. And then we were kind of like going back and forth with it, because I think you were going through it like in 2010. Just give a time frame, like it was around 2010 at that point too, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, and then I think the other one that just pops in my head is like the Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Work Week or whatever. Yeah. I feel like those two books were kind of simultaneously like introduced around the same time period.
Yes.
But yeah, and I think going back to Ramit's book, it's very practical, like things that you can do to potentially, get rich, right?
Right.
Have that rich life.
Or what your quote unquote rich life is, which we'll talk about later.
Exactly. So yeah, and we actually, from reading his books, we went to Austin at some point. Was that last year, 2019?
Yeah, June of 2019. And we went there because this is like the 10-year reunion of like the book. So I think it came out in 2009, and then we started reading it in 2010, but then he did another tour. And he doesn't do speaking engagements, so it was kind of cool to, we drove down to Austin.
Yeah, so he was doing a book signing. Same book, just like you said, it's just a little bit updated on certain things, especially like he's big on credit cards.
Right.
So definitely some updated credit card things and bank accounts.
Don't do this bank. Because I think on there it told you like get an ING direct account, and then like
that just doesn't exist anymore.
Doesn't exist. Yeah. So he updated it, and then there's like more realistic things too, like hey, a wedding ring or a wedding doesn't cost this much anymore. It costs this much. And so it's expanded a little bit, but I think it's pretty good. I read it last summer, just going to the pool every day and reading that. And it was really good. But yeah, I think the trip down there was a lot of fun too, just because we tried a new service called Bond Lane and got to work on the way down there. So it was quote unquote a business write-off. Whereas 10 years ago, we were like in college, which was weird, I guess.
But yeah, we actually got to meet him. So we got to meet Ramit, and
hopefully we'll use that picture for the thumbnail too.
Yeah, show the picture. But that was pretty cool. What was the name of the bookstore? Do you remember?
Oh, yes.
I feel like it was a cool name.
It was a cool name. And they were like your old school kind of like bookstore that did book signings or whatever. It wasn't a Barnes and Noble.
Right. Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but shout out. We'll figure out maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very close knit, or felt like it at least.
We were like front row, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got there early. We're like, yes, we're going to leave in the morning, front lines.
Yeah, it's pretty good seats. But yeah. So anyways, that's a little bit of the backstory of how we started reading his books and then signing up to his newsletter, which, I'm also signed on and get a lot of stuff from him. Right. And then he also has a lot of good courses. Yeah. Like a lot of good courses for entrepreneurship, for copywriting, for earning side hustle money, everything, anything. Not everything, anything, but usually business or finance related, how to make more money. And then, eventually getting to actually meet him in person, which is pretty cool. So throughout this whole process, from when we actually got a hold of who is this Ramit guy
Right.
up until now to having this business. There are definitely some things that we've learned from him, from consuming so much of his content. You want to go with number one?
Yeah, let's do number one. This is, I think it takes the human emotion out of things, and that's automation. Before, like in 2010, I never really thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, you do your budget, you just manually do things. And he's like, no, we're humans. Like if you get $600, a Christian gets $600 in his account, he's going to be like, oh, well, 300 for me, and then like 200 for savings, and then 100 for something else. Like versus an automation where it's like, okay, every month, no matter what, this money gets taken out. And if you don't see it, you don't have to worry about it. Like it's already doing it. And I think he was one of the first early adapters for like the common person to do automation. I feel like quote unquote rich people were already doing this type of thing. And he just kind of brought it down to other people. And for our business, it's taught us like not only just to automate money or savings or anything like that, but more so if we're doing something over and over again, how can we automate it? And that doesn't mean necessarily, I guess, a machine. It could be a person, but it's taught us that, okay, let's get this, and let's not continue to do the same thing over and over again and put human emotion to it, because it just takes time. And that's one of his biggest things that he's talking about is if you could get rid of the wasted time and have something else do it for you, why would you not?
Right. And I think it's kind of funny you mentioned like he was talking about that, I don't know, 10 years ago, but I think in a span of 10 years, automation has become more and more prevalent thanks to bots and algorithms and different things like that.
Tools like Zapier.
Yeah, the technology has caught up to where normal people can benefit from automations, right?
Right.
I think back then there was baby automations, but I think the true power of the automations were virtual assistants, or still having that human contact in there where, for him, like, yeah, there's automating stuff, but I have to pay virtual assistants to, I don't know, he does like a lot of booking of airplanes and then hotels, and then he has the assistants also get him like his favorite food delivered to the hotel at the exact time that he's gonna get there. So he has a lot of nuances and automations, right, that were possible because of virtual assistants or regular assistants or whatever. But I think now, with tools like Zapier and messenger bots and like this and that, it's possible for regular people, business owners, to use the power of automation
inexpensively too.
Inexpensively to a lot of different things on their business, right? So it could be from lead generation to actual even marketing. Like there's a company that's FAM for Shopify.
Oh yeah.
Where it literally makes you
the
emails that get sent automatically to your subscribers, and you don't have to like lift a finger.
Right. It pulls all of your data from like Instagram and Facebook, and then says like, oh, this is the way you talk. Let me create this email, and I'll send it at the time that your users are like awake and open already. Like crazy.
So absolutely. I think automation was one of the first things that we saw from Ramit, and I think actually Tim Ferry is a big advocate to using assistants and automating things. So I think at that same point in time, we were looking at all these things and saying like, oh my gosh, we need to automate everything. But at the time we were so small that there was really not much to automate.
What are we going to automate? Yeah.
It's like now, year 4, year 5, we're like, we are, we've had that idea in our heads for a long time. And it's just a matter of like, okay, now we have the processes, and what are the things that we can implement as far as not implement, but automate. Right. And that's, I think, all going back to, like you're saying, like Ramit introducing us to
just the possibility, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, spending on, and he's big on the rich life. So if you read the book or if you've heard of Ramit at all, it's like, he's not necessarily saying you have to be rich. It's just whatever your rich life is, but the doing those things and not feeling guilty about it. So like number 1 was automation. Because you automate, you can save time, or you can spend money on things that you want. And he gives a lot of examples about friends who spend $30,000 or $40,000 a year eating out. They don't spend on a bunch of other stuff, but that's their rich life. And so we've used it. I mean, I've used it personally, but also just understanding what we can spend money on for the business is we spend a lot of money, as I was calculating in the last couple of weeks, on technology. And like, we're a technology company. We love things. I think for a while, Christian like put handcuffs on me to like stop buying AppSumo apps or like technology tools, like all, every single week. There would be something that's like, oh, this is amazing. Let's buy technology. So for us, I guess part of the rich life is like having up to date, like really good technology, whether it's our project management system, our CRM, all of our technology is like really, really nice. And that's like an agency necessity, but we could go the free route for most things. But we've recently had to upgrade a lot of stuff, but that's kind of our rich life. Does this make our life easier, I guess?
Mm-hmm. I think also education. I think that's something that we've since
spent
the beginning
a lot of money.
spent a lot of money on education. And whenever there is a good course or something that's out there that we know is going to benefit us, and we can see the return just by reading about the course, then we usually jump on it, and it's a pretty easy decision for us to make. And again, I think we see the value in it. Like you're saying, it's what we consider rich or empowering, right, for a company,
right?
So I think it's very easy for us to spend money on education.
That's funny because it came across like, I think Ramit's like quoted for saying like, if you think a book is going to be good or whatever, don't just second guess it, just buy the book, because if you get one idea from it, then it could change your life. And I think for us, it wasn't necessarily the book, it was the course. And if people look at us, they're like, oh, you guys, maybe we don't spend extravagantly on some things, but we do spend extravagantly on courses. Like, I mean, I don't know how much we've spent this year, but I mean, probably $5,000 to $10,000 on just courses, which may not be a lot for some people, but for us, I mean, that's a good chunk of change to spend on a course. And it's not really a second, like whenever we're purchasing something, I don't feel like buyer's remorse or like guilty about it. I'm like, oh, like we bought Ryan an email course. If he uses it for all of our e-commerce clients, then it's going to be so much better. And even though we paid $500 for it or whatever else, it's like, it's going to pay its dividends. So we just don't feel guilty about the rewards on it. Hey, local business owners, if you're ready to grow your business online without having to work more in your business and you can spend more time on it, we created a free training on how to attract, qualify, and convert more leads online. It's 38 minutes. It's going to take a little bit of your time, but it's going to have a huge benefit. It's completely free. Make sure you click below in the description, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on the podcast, everything's there that you need. Go grab the training now.
Number three, hire and give them freedom to be autonomous.
Yeah, that's tough. But he's really good at that. I think that's something we're trying to lean towards, like, because I think his company is like what, over 10 years old. So like he already has all the structures and things in place. And so this is for those of you who have been around for like 10 years. You can do something like that. We're still kind of, and maybe you're like us, still molding like where the boundaries are in the company. And so we can hire and give autonomy to an extent, but then we're like, well, we've never done this before, so let's bring you back in and let's paint the line of like where the wall is. And then after that, once we have it, then I think that it's allowing them to be autonomous. Like, okay, you run it. Like, this is the way we want to do things. Do it your own way, and play around, have fun, do things, but don't be afraid to draw outside the lines. But we need to just establish what this is gonna look like, and we're still doing that. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah. Well, I feel like for sure, starting out with a new company, you have to figure out your process, right? And I think that's something that from the get-go we've had some sort of process or step or 1, 2, 3. But I think now is when we are actually again implementing education and the technology, right, and just injecting it into this process. That's going to make things a lot easier for everyone. And like you're saying, once we have this process sort of cemented a little bit more, then it's easy to say, okay, look, this is the process. This is the 1 through Z. This is some examples previously. This is the technology that we use. It's a lot easier to sort of step out, because that process is just a well-oiled machine that it runs pretty good. We've tested it, and it's an excellent process, right? So I think that in order to have that well-oiled machine, like we have to go through that well-oiled machine, right? And have to go through the trials and tribulations of
which most people think that
breaking
you can
down.
just like, I don't know, like what is the word? Like you can just set it up and then not have to do it yourself. Like you can't not build a website and then tell people, like as Christian as the designer, go build me a site, even though I don't know I don't know how to build a site.
Right.
Like I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, it has to be. Yeah, you either have to go through it or you have to have the experience of that process, or maybe you go through it as a consumer, right? To understand each step of the process. Because otherwise, it's hard to, give autonomy to someone when you don't know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Or,
right. Hey, go run in this direction. You're like, oh, whoops, that was the wrong direction. And I don't know. I feel like there's a difference between autonomy and like craziness. And they may just feel like, okay, I don't know if I'm doing things right. I don't know if I'm doing things wrong, because they just, being autonomous doesn't necessarily mean that you have free reign to do whatever. But they also don't know where their boundaries are. They're like, oh, I thought you said you wanted to do a video. Well, or a website. There's a lot of different ways to make a website, a lot of different ways to do a video. So getting back to his point of like hiring, giving them freedom, is just basically not the micromanaging thing. Like we're not going to show Jack, like, this is the way you have to edit the video. This is the outcome we want. You can do it whatever way you'd like. But that's something that we're getting better at. And once we've established a little bit more, I think we can give even more freedom. And I would say this year has been a big year for us to like let more things off of our plate to try to give to people. And like, okay, it's not 100%, but 80 is good enough kind of thing. And just kind of rolling with it.
So number 4.
Cuatro. Knowing your numbers. All right, so this is ridiculously important, and it was something that Christian brought up. We started doing this year. Like, we had our, let's say, financial numbers. Like, we know those numbers, like how much we make each week, how much we spend, where we spent money on, especially big purchases. And, each quarter we try to eliminate costs that are dumb or change things to annually, whatever. So we're good there, but we didn't know, like, our KPIs or our key performance indicators for, like, how many people's emails did we collect this week? How many Facebook followers do we have now? How many people did we get on YouTube, or subscribers we get on YouTube? Those numbers, we didn't have a clue. We were like, oh, look, it's going up, versus tracking it because we don't know if it's working or not. And that's really like a big push that Christian had, was like, I want to know these numbers. They're kind of cool to know, and they're good to see, and good to see our progress, and we can make adjustments at that point.
Yeah, so I think numbers is just not the financial, but also, like growth in the company, and seeing, if doing micro content on YouTube, is that helping or hurting? We didn't have any historical data on, I mean, we do if we just start looking back inside of, each analytic tool, but we didn't have a central place where we had all this data and these numbers, where we, make better decisions in the future as well. And even the present, because we know exactly what's going on a week by week basis.
Right. And we kind of review, and another good thing too is, this is not necessarily from Ramit, but like we review at least an overview of that with everybody in the team, so they can see, oh, this is what's going on. Like, hey, our emails are growing, everything's moving forward. So I think that's just the biggest thing there. Everybody needs to know their numbers. Your numbers may be different than ours as far as what you track, but know your most important numbers in your business. And even if it's just a simple spreadsheet like ours is, or like a simple task inside of your project management system, like have something to continue to keep track of those numbers.
Yep. And then number 5, negotiate when possible. And then, pay in full to get a discount. And that's something that I think when we started, or we're thinking about starting Profit First, or even Traction, we started doing that, where we're using this technology like for the foreseeable future. Let's purchase it for the whole year, and we get a discount off of that.
Usually it's like 20 or 30%. Like, it's not just here, save $1 a month. It's like a lot.
Yeah. So anyways, Ramit has a lot of examples in his book about negotiating your salary, to negotiating car buying, to negotiating credit card fees. So he does give a lot of advice, and he's very, I don't think it's frugal, but it's just like,
it's just being smart.
Yeah, if you don't ask, you're never gonna get anything, right?
He's Indian too, so if you know anything about like historically like Indian people, they always are like trying to get the best deal, which I think that's where he came up with like some of those ideas. Like he grew up, I guess the backstory, like he grew up like haggling with people because that was his dad. Like his dad would go to places and like you clearly can't haggle with somebody at a Walmart, but like I mean they do that kind of stuff for whatever reason.
So yeah, and I think we've used that in our business as well. Anytime that, like I said, for technology that we know that we're going to use for the whole year, we purchase it for the whole year, and get a discount there. And I think you've also plainly asked for discounts for different things. Yeah,
and they usually get it. Like one of them again is AppSumo. Huge shout out to them. They've been amazing. But yeah, depending on what it is, we ask for discounts, and then also if we can't get a discount, hey, we promote your products a lot. We're an affiliate. Like here, give us a link, and we'll get 10% of everything that we sell too. So like, is there a way that we can do that? Funny thing is the negotiate part. Like hopefully within the next month or two, we'll be able to get a car, and I'm gonna go back to Ramit's book, and personally, I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna find these 3 places to find a car, and I'm just really gonna document it because I think it'd be interesting to talk about. Like, all right, this is how I bought a car in cash, and how I negotiated it, and how we didn't go to any car lot. Like I learned all that from Ramit, which is pretty cool. And the same thing for us in the future if we ever bought company cars or something. Like we don't have the time to go. Now it would be kind of cool to be like go to a Tesla lot. They don't have a Tesla lot. What is it? You have to go to the mall or something like that.
Yeah, they have like those stores.
Yeah. So I think it'd be different to buy a Tesla. So maybe that wouldn't work. Maybe Ramit needs to update it for like Tesla. But yeah, it's definitely negotiating at all possible when it is possible.
Yeah, you mentioned AppSumo and Noah Kagan, who's he's CEO founder, right? AppSumo. I don't know if he's CEO.
No, he's not CEO. He's like a co-founder, but I think he's an operations guy. But technically, his business partner Chad kind of runs stuff, I think.
Okay, but I remember watching a video of him just saying that like you just need to ask for discounts like anytime you get a chance. And he went to a place. It was I think it was an Instagram video or something. But he went to like a coffee place or a hot dog
that's his challenge.
And he was like, "Can I get a 10% discount?" And the lady was like, "Why?" He was like, "Just because." And I don't think he got it that time, but he's done other videos where it's like, "Okay, yeah, sure, I can give you $1 off."
Well, and that's like, why not? I think for him, like you said, he's got the money, so it's not about that. So it's like for you as a business owner or an entrepreneur, it's about just getting that yes or that no, because it's like working that muscle. So it's like, hey, can I have a discount? They say yes, great, you got something out of it. But regardless, you went over the hurdle of the fear. So many people are like, like especially in America, it's like, this is the price. Nobody haggles with price except for us for whatever reason. Can you lower the cost of that website, or can you lower the cost of that logo, or how can I work with you guys? Like they do that, but like nobody would ever do that to Target. Like those big companies, they want to pay full price for Target, but they want to discount like small business. But no, I think that's a really cool strategy and way to kind of work that muscle. It's fun. I should do that with Brianna and then film it. It'd be interesting to see them do it, because I would have no problem doing it. Like just I don't know.
Do you think she would struggle?
Yeah, I think so. I just more like, hi, like, and they're like, well, hi, and like, can I have a discount? And like, I think it would take a lot of work for her to like, not necessarily say it at that time, but just to kind of like walk up there and like, like people are behind me, and then you're asking, and like people are seeing you do it. The hard one would be to like set them up to fail, like going to like Starbucks, where it's not as easy to do something like that versus like a local coffee shop. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Marketing Natives. We hope you got a lot out of this. Please go make sure to check out Ramit. He is amazing. His book is amazing. We'll actually put a link in here in the show notes. We're not affiliates, just really big advocates for him. If you've been listening for a while, please make sure that you go ahead and leave us an honest rating and review on Apple Podcasts. This helps us grow. And also, we'll give you a shout out on our podcast here. Pretty cool to hear your name come across your headphones. And if you are listening for the first time, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on podcast, wherever you're watching this, please make sure that you subscribe so that you continue to see the content we put out every single week. We'll see you guys next time.
The Marketing Natives Podcast is a production of BitBranding.